We're at the sewing machine and we're going to sew the curve for our heart quilt with a scant 1/4 inch seam. Our first step is to make sure that our short straight side of template B is lined up with our long straight side of template A as it goes underneath the foot and the needle. If you've pinned this, then that's going to be really easy. If you chose not to pin it until now, or just to bring it over, that's fine too. Just make sure it's lined up. Take my pin out. I'm just going to take a couple stitches to make sure that that's set before I get started. Then my first step is going to be to make sure that my template A edge and my template B edge are lined up. If you need to pull it towards you a little bit, that might help even out any bumps. And it only has to be lined up until your first pin. So if you only have your pin in the center, you'll have a little bit more to line up. Our pin is right here, so it's a pretty short distance. And I'm going to start sewing. So while we're sewing, what we're going to be watching for are bunches or folds that are happening underneath our needle. If they're happening over here to the side, we're not going to be concerned about them. They may put a little crease in our fabric, but they're not going to impact our curve. So if you see these forming over here, that's fine, but if they start to form under your needle, you're going to want to lift your foot. You can just gently move your fabric back behind it, put your foot back down, and then start to sew. So we're coming up on our first pin. I like pins because they give you a checkpoint. If I don't have too much fabric or not enough fabric right before I hit this pin, then I know that that first part of my curve was sewn correctly and I'm ready to move to the next part. So I'm going to take out my pin. I'm going to line up this next section of template A and template B fabric, and I'm going to keep going. Now this curve is a little bit different than the typical 1/4 circle curve. When you get up to the top of these half circle curves, you will find that this is the narrowest point of that template B fabric, and the fabric tends to bunch. So I'm going to lift my foot, I'm going to move my fabric, and then I'm going to put my foot back down. Gives me a little more space to sew. And you may have to do this a few times. Okay, we've hit another checkpoint. Everything still looks good. We're going to line up our A and B fabric again. If you're sewing the meant to be pattern or the patchwork pattern and you have these seams underneath, you're going to want to make sure that if you've pressed them open, that they stay flat as you're sewing. So just kind of keep that in mind as you go. That one's nice and flat, so we'll keep sewing. Okay, as we come around to this end of the curve, we talked about how important it is to keep this template B short straight side lined up with the template A long straight side in order to make sure that your block is as accurate as it can be. This is still lined up, but as you get toward the end, you might have a little bit more extra fabric here as well. So again, just keep in mind that you can always lift your foot and you can always move it. A little bit there. What we don't want to see happen is that you take this extra fabric and you move it this way off your block. That is going to not be the best thing for your curve. All right, you can see it's still lined up, and we're going to finish out this curve. So here's our finished curve. We're going to take it over and press it and then get ready to trim.